Hi everyone, how you doing? This is Jesus Sanz with Peternell Property Group, and I have with me Anna
Hi guys.
and Paul Mitchell.
How's everybody doing?
Excellent. Well, everyone, we just want to tackle with the presence of both of you, and ask you, particularly to you, Paul, and getting some feedback from Anna, a typical question that we get from buyers, especially those that they come to the U.S. for the first time. Folks from South America, from Europe, even Canadians, they come to the US with a working visa and they don't have any previous credit history. And the question comes, hey, I like you as an agent, but can I buy a house?
Yeah, it's a great question. And there's lots of different scenarios that we could cover, so we'll keep it kind of short and sweet. But we see this a lot with energy sector, oil and gas, because there's a lot of transfers in and out to different countries. And usually the home company or the home country for the company is in the US at some point. The short answer is yes, right? Like you can buy a house. The how you get to buy a house is dependent on a few different factors. One, do you have a social security number, right? So a lot of people are transferred on intra-company visas, or L1 visa types, but there's many types of visas. So you have to follow a few simple rules. One being, are you legally able to be in the U.S., right, and work, right? So that's number one, right? You have residency status. And even non-permanent residency status is still residency status, right? That's number one. Number two is, do you have a social security number? Um, and why the social security number is important, because a lot of times that will determine on how you get paid. You can't be a W-2 employee without a social security number. You can be self-employed with an I-10, but these are different type of loans, right? So I don't want to go through all of those scenarios, but the basic questions are: what is your residency status? What is your employment status? Do you have a social security number? And then out of those answers or responses that we get, we usually find loan product that fits them. Ideally, right, we would like to have, do a conventional loan. There are other options that I'll discuss, but conventional loans are always the number one option, right? Because if you fit the box of conventional loans, then everything else is pretty simple from there. So going on the fact that if you do have a social security number, well, then it's whether or not do you have credit? Do you have established credit? Do you have a credit score? Do you have trade lines from the past? And I've seen lots of different scenarios here, right? So I've seen somebody who was in the US at one point, but they haven't been here in over a decade, but they still had an open credit card, which allowed them to have, a trade line, which gave them a populated credit score. I've seen people that have come here that are on intracompany transfers that have been in the U.S. before, but never long enough to establish, a trade line or open a credit card, and they don't have a credit score. And depending, so and I've also seen where they have had a trade line in the past, which means some sort of credit, that they close and then don't have a score, but they have a trade line. And in all of those different scenarios, there are different loans that you can do depending on what that scenario is, right? So the short answer again back is yes, you can purchase a home. The long and short of it is, do a mortgage
They need to
application.
talk to you.
Yeah, do a mortgage application. Let me see all the information, and then I can guide them to the best product for them. I love to do it as a conventional. If they don't have a credit score or they don't have any trade lines, there's some other options for them. As long as they have the other components, meaning the income and the residency status, right? So hope that answers your question, but it's a fairly complicated one, but it's one that I do quite often. And there's an entire group of loan officers that I work with that I am now their visa and expat expert, because I've done so many, being in Houston and dealing in the energy sector, that you just have to be able to work your way through those scenarios.
To accommodate that. No, those are great news. I appreciate that, Paul. So the answer, as you said, the short answer is yes, but definitely they need to reach out to you to understand the situation and figure out what product might fit them better. So that's great. But how about, kind of teeing off on that, how about those foreign nationals, those that we still have folks that reach out to us either overseas or in South America, where they had where they used to work in the US, or they have currently a visitor's visa, but they want to invest in the US. I want to diversify my assets and buy something in the US. Is that possible? Can you loan to those folks?
Yeah, so I've heard the term foreign national used differently within the mortgage industry. I deal with some small banks that have unique kind of boutique products that fit some foreign nationals. I've heard them even call people on intracompany transfers foreign nationals, and I don't think that that's the correct term, but to each their own, they can call it what they want. So when I think of a foreign national or a foreign national type of loan, I'm thinking of somebody who their income is not generated in the US. They can be in the US, right? They can be here on a tourist visa or some other type of visa, but they don't fit that residency status box, right? Where, yes, technically you can be here on a visa, but you're not a resident, right? So they don't fit the residency status box, and they typically don't fit the income box, meaning the income is generated in some other country. Although there's some caveats there, right? But that would be sort of a foreign national investor loan where we would use non-traditional credit, depending on the country which they have their credit. They could have credit reports that are similar to the US. They could have something completely different. And so there's different items that we would get to support them having a credit history somewhere else. Short answer again is yes, you can buy a house. The down payment is much higher, right, than on a conventional loan, but 30 to 40% down is probably what they're going to be looking at with regard to down payment. But again, yes, they can buy a house. It's just it's a different loan type, and not every bank offers that. So again, I have some partnerships with some boutique small banks that offer those type of loans. But it all starts with the application. So you can, and again, right, so talking about residency status and income, you can have foreign generated income, be a U.S. resident in some shape or form, right, permanent resident U.S. citizen, and live in the U.S. and have foreign income and still just do a conventional loan. So again, like, it doesn't just follow one path. There's multiple paths. If you're going to do it that way, there's a specific way we have to look at the income, and it has to flow through your U.S. tax returns. But other than that, you can have income generated in a different country if you fit some of the other boxes.
That's fantastic. Okay. Well, I guess similar. So the short answer is yes, but it will boil down to their situation, where they are as far as it goes, and what they attempt to buy. So, okay, perfect. Anna, any questions while we're discussing these topics for Paul?
If you want to, if you are going to be transferred to United States, reach to us, and we are going to be able to answer your questions, and of course get you in touch with a great lender like Paul. And we start from there, because there is not a unique answer, right? It depends on many things, but the short answer to that question is yes, you can. The more requirements you fulfill, the better rates and less money you need. And if you need, you don't have those requirements, you can have a loan. It's gonna cost you more. But in United States, everything is satisfied with money. So just, request, ask your questions, and we have a great team. Jesus, who is a master in investments, Paul Mitchell, which is a master in mortgage, and me, that I'm a master in connections. And we go from there. So yeah, just if you have a question, just call us, and we're here from you, right, guys?
Absolutely.
Okay, fantastic. Have a great day.
Thank you.